Good evening, or whatever time of day you're watching this. Hey, anyway, we're going to look at Vampire Tales from Marvel. It's one of their monster magazines. And my framing pieces for this video, I'm pretty sure I've got a Morbius action figure in the basement somewhere, because I got a lot of Toy Biz down there. But instead of taking hours to go hunt that thing up, I got a couple of guest star vampires here helping me out. Of course, everyone knows about Blacula, played by the great William Marshall from the early 70s. Classic vampire goodness. And we've got Lilith, the Vampire Bride. This is a fairly new action figure that I really like a lot. And what's not to like? Kind of spilling out of her dress there, but it's part of her charm. Yeah, Lilith, the Vampire Bride. She's helping me out today for this Vampire Tales video. This is from White Elephant Toys. And these are out of production, so if you can find one, good luck. They didn't make many of them to start with. I'm just lucky I spotted them in time to grab one. But, you know, she's really awesome, and she reminds me a lot of Uta Stensgaard from Lust for a Vampire from Hammer, I think 1971. But anyway, let's get on with the show here. Yes, I'm infatuated with Lilith, I have to admit. We go to number 1 of Vampire Tales from 1973, covered by Esteban Maroto, interior art, Pablo Marcos, Bill Everett in a reprint, Win Mortimer, Paul Reinman in a reprint, Georgie Bernay. The Morbius origin is retold by Steve Gerber in this issue. And this is number 2. This seems to be the one everyone wants because it's the first appearance of Satana. And Satana's pretty awesome. This cover is by Jose Antonio Domingo. Interior art, Rich Buckler and Pablo Marcos. Manny Banks in a reprint. Jesus Blasco, John Romita, introducing Satana Hellstrom. Jim Steranko in a reprint from Tower of Shadows number 1. Rich Buckler, Klaus Janson, Carlos Garzon. And that's a really awesome cover. And number 3, covered by Luis Dominguez. Interior art, Esteban Maroto, Paul Reinman, Russ Jones, Bob Stewart, Carmine Infantino, Gil Kane in reprint. Vincente Alcazar, John Romita, Pablo Marcos, Rich Buckler, and Klaus Janson. And we go to number 4, cover by the great Boris Vallejo. That's a comely hunk of vampires there. Interior art, Tom Sutton, Paul Reinman from a reprint, Lombardia, Tony DiPreto in a reprint, Esteban Maroto, Ernie Chan as Ernie Chua. They had some fabulous covers on these Marvel Monster magazines back in the 70s. As well as great art on the inside for the most part. This is number 5. This cover is by Esteban Maroto. And interior art, Win Mortimer, Rich Buckler, Ernie Chan as Ernie Chua. Alan Cooperberg, Dick Giordano. Gil Kane, Frank Giacoria. This is a reprint from Amazing Spider-Man number 102. And Vampiric. You know, I still have my off-the-rack copy of Amazing Spider-Man 102. And it survived pretty well. I mean, it's like probably very good to find. Just missed out on that 101, and I never did get one, so I've got the reprint of that. And here's number 6, with the other Lilith, the Marvel Lilith, daughter of Dracula. I always liked her costume a lot. This cover is by Boris Vallejo. Interior art by Pablo Marcos, Bob Brown, Tom Palmer, Tom Sutton did some illos for the letters page. Neil Adams, Andres Balsales, Alfredo Alcala, Vincente Alcazar. It's got a little bit of inking on the cover there, but it's not too bad. Used to, and the distributor would stack these magazines up, and sometimes, like on the title there, you'd get that, you know, where it would come off the back of the magazine on top of it. Okay, here's number 7. This cover is by Jose Antonio Domingo. Interior art, Tom Sutton, Billy Graham, Paul Gulacy, and Duffy Voland, and Howard Chaykin. Man, really great stuff. And this cover is really sweet too. Number 8. This is by Jose Antonio Domingo. You know, he was credited sometimes just as J.A.D. Jose Antonio Domingo. This guy could, man, his stuff is awesome. It's just beautiful. Interior art, Ernie Chan as Ernie Chua, Mike Vosberg, Tom Sutton, Frank Chiaramonte, Joe Staten, Alfredo Alcala, Tony DeZuniga. And there's number 9. It's a really pretty cover there. That's by Marty Ripoll. Not familiar, but boy, that's a beautiful cover. Interior art, Ernie Chan. Wow, he must have been credited as his real name here. Tom Sutton, illos in the letters page. Tony DeZuniga, Russ Heath, Jesus Blasco, Virgilio Redondo, Alfredo Alcala, Tony DeZuniga. There's number 10. This cover is by a guy named Richard Hescox. And that's a cool cover. Interior art, Paul Gulacy, Duffy Voland, Sonny Trinidad, Mike Vosberg, Howard Nostrand, Virgilio Redondo, Alfredo Alcala. And here's the last issue in the regular numbering. It's number 11. This cover is also by Richard Hescox. Interior art, Tony DeZuniga, Sonny Trinidad, Young Montano. And it ends up with the annual. Big close-up of Michael Morbius' face there. This cover is by Bob Larkin, and he pretty much knocked it out of the park. And interior art by Pablo Marcos, Tom Sutton, Alfredo Alcala, Esteban Maroto, Rich Buckler, Carlos Garzon, Klaus Janson, Russ Heath, Val Mayrick, Rich Buckler, Ernie Chan as Chua. Okay, this is all reprints, which was a common theme for their annual issues. Yeah, see, it's signed right there. B. Larkin. But there we go. That's pretty much the lowdown on Marvel Monster Magazine Vampire Tales, which was a good one. Matter of fact, they were all good. And I want to thank Blacula and Lilith the Vampire Bride for helping me out. I'll go put them back on the shelf now that their job is done. And I want to thank you guys for watching. And there's more Marvel Monster Magazine Mayhem coming up fairly quickly. So hang with.